All right, good afternoon, everybody. It's 3:10 p.m. We're sorry for the delay, but we're going to get started, and we're calling meetings to order right now.
Yeah. If anyone messages you regarding the meeting link for this meeting, it was invalid. We have sent a separate email just now with an updated meeting link. So if anyone messages about an invalid meeting link, they should have gotten a new email with an updated link. So we can go ahead and do roll call. Javier.
Veronica Escalera Ibarra. Please turn your mic so we can.
You see her on the screen?
Yes. Okay. Lyle Hofstetler.
I'm here.
Sorry about the delay. Christina Sonorsano. Jeff Jordan. Victor Sainz. Carly Farmer. Here. Brandon Ross.
Laura Parker here for Brandon.
Joshua Jeshke.
Jacob Howard here for Josh.
Isaac Levy.
Here.
Erica Taft.
Here.
Bill Hill. Scott Wayman. Ryan Flipson. Bert McCall. Joey Pollock.
Here.
Robert Hanley.
Here.
Karen Bishop.
Here.
Yvonne De La Rosa.
Here.
Marcela Diaz Wells.
Javier, she was probably having technical difficulties, but I know she's joining. And also, I couldn't get my mic and I logged off by accident, so I'm here as well.
Chair, we have quorum.
Great, thank you. So the next agenda item, citizens to be heard. Javier, Matthew, do you have anybody? Item number 3 is the approval of the April 10th, 2024 ATAC meeting minutes. Entertain discussion. Is there any corrections? Or not? Like to see a motion to approve the meeting minutes from April 10th.
I'll make that motion.
Do we have a motion on the floor from Scott? Do we have a second for approval of the April 10th meeting minutes?
Robert Gammy. I'll make a second on Scott's motion.
All right, if there's any dissents or on the meeting minutes from April 10th, may speak now. If not, we'll take that as an approval for the meeting minutes. April 10th meeting minutes are passed. Okay, item number 4 is the presentation on AntoniGO overview.
Hi, I'm Kevin Mancha. I'm waiting for them to display that one pager for the people online. There she is. Well, I'm Kevin Mancha. I'm VP Operations of AntoniGO, also known as SAGO, S-A-G-O, here in San Antonio. We wanted to get in front of AMPO and everybody who's online to really discuss about who we are and what we offer to our city here in San Antonio. I was born and raised here, lived here all my life. I've moved all through the community of District 5 in the south side, live in the west side now, over in District 7. Have fun, work, and play in District 1, and trying to connect all of these opportunity zones and new districts that are going to be built here in the coming future. So as you see on the one pager there, we're basically a electric solution of micromobility that connects the siloed areas of San Antonio. If you've had any experience with transit or transportation here or mobility in San Antonio, it's always been kind of a headache. Well, we're trying to bring a solution to that. We offer data collection, aggregation, reporting. We are fully permitted and insured and bonded by the city of San Antonio. Some of our strategic partnerships right now are POSA, Visit San Antonio, Centro San Antonio, and anybody who works and plays within the San Antonio downtown space. So what we're trying to bring is a dynamic and fixed route solution that would connect the River North up to Pearl District to include the Creamery, down through Sama, coming along Riverwalk to Thompson Hotel, where there would be a connector that would connect the city, the CBD proper, and then east would be to SB St. Paul Square, all the way up to Hackberry to try to include that fringe opportunity zone into the downtown space. On the west side would be Highness Place. You know, you're looking at Guadalupe Arts Center, some of these cultural locations that are of high importance to our city and our tourism and hospitality, to connect to our downtown space as well. And then on the south side would be up to and including all of Southtown, down to Lavaca, to offer a connector to Hemisphere Park, which would operate within downtown. So we're environmentally friendly, we're sustainable, we're electric. We want to, you know, basically bump San Antonio into the future, right? You guys, whoever's traveled, I'm sure here has seen these solutions elsewhere. So we're not reinventing the wheel. We're trying to bring something that is already existing, the model of microtransit. We were talking about the micromobility and microtransit, where the definition is that we are offering A to B rides within that first and last mile. But we are trying to connect to the major transit hubs, right? So VIA, with some of the support for VIA, to be able to figure out what VIA doesn't want to do and how we can support people moving to and from those transit hubs. So at the end of the day, we're looking for some of the federal funding that has been approved through the VIL, which is the huge funding that came from the federal government down. And so we're trying to position ourselves with partners to help us secure some of that funding to offer this as a solution for San Antonio. I think we're on track to, we have some traction from some of the neighborhood associations down here in Southtown. I know District 7, we have some support there as well. But our idea is to really connect our downtown spaces to those fringe opportunity zones, and then also help increase you know, tourism, hospitality, and people getting to and from doctor's appointments, going from school. And I guess that's it. I guess, is there any questions as far as what we can offer or what we do? It's open to the floor.
Yeah, Kevin Sharp. I had a question. How did you determine, and I wrote you, it's Pearl North, St. James Museum, St. Paul Square, Guadalupe Avenue, South. How did y'all determine the boundary? Because I mean, for that first last mile, trying to keep people out of personal vehicles in the downtown area, and some of that, like Guadalupe's a very big stretch. I don't consider that relatively close to the downtown. So how did y'all determine?
Sure.
Area?
That's a great question. What we're trying to do is really, like you said, right, minimize some of that traffic downtown. So what we would do is offer that solution to bring as a fixed dynamic routing to where it brings people in to maybe that transit hub, the VIA transit hub, and then from there, there's a connector that brings people into downtown. So now you're keeping the vehicles, you're offering that service to an opportunity zone, people who don't have access to cars, who don't want to have cars, to be able to move into the downtown space. So now, just from living here my whole entire life and operating another business called Sidecar San Antonio, we've seen where that traffic kind of jams up. And it's always just people on those fringe zones, right? Parking's a nightmare. We all know this. So we're trying to have a park once solution where people can park once and then move around the city with this micromobility. So if you're visiting the west side of San Antonio, say you park at a parking lot over there, you find a parking space, you would be able to enter downtown and move throughout all the districts of downtown with the micromobility of Sago.
In that service area, Kevin, let me ask you, it's the frequency. In other words, somebody wouldn't mind parking if they're trying to get downtown, if they're at the Pearl. What's the frequency? Or if they're in Southtown, what's the frequency of how long they have to wait? Because we're talking about, do we replace personal vehicle congestion with your micromobility, microtransportation? Because that's a lot of vehicles if you're trying to do a fair and reasonable service timeframe. Sure. Because if I have to wait 20, 30 minutes, I'm gonna go find a parking space.
Exactly. And we've timed it to where it's about 10 to 15 minutes. If you offer 2 to 3 vehicles per circulator or district, right? And so then 10 or 15 minutes seems pretty reasonable for a city of our size. And so as long as, you know, when you're parking a vehicle and you're opening up space for one of our vehicles, which could eliminate up to 5 or 6 vehicles, it decongests, and it also gives people that option of 10 or 15 minutes window moving around between that circulator. So 10 or 15 minutes, I'll be waiting, and if I need to get back to my car, it's another 10 or 15 minutes.
Kevin, sorry.
I was gonna say, is it scooters, is it bicycles, what are we talking about?
They're electric vehicles.
Do we have a spaceship? What's that picture on this?
It's like a souped up golf cart.
It's the souped up golf cart. I mean, I have on Instagram, I don't know if we have access.
What is it, 6 to 7 passengers?
There's 5 passenger, 1 driver.
And is it free? Is it?
It's free. So our goal is to keep it free for the community. Looking for funding to be able to underwrite, you know, and keep this as a service that is needed. Obviously, in San Antonio, that I think we're moving towards that as we grow these districts right in the Cleveland district.
Have you looked at HCCD at all? Because they do have some national leads. They're getting the Northeast lately, especially because V is not there. V is an entire. But out there, they have a good line and a half between Converse's last bus stop, the Northeast Lake campus, and they could really use some micromobility. Last mile, first mile, whatever the solution for them, they're actually looking for solutions. So I wonder if that might be a good.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, right? We know that it is needed in multiple areas of these districts. Kendall County, you know, ACOG is using a program now where they have scheduling rides that we kind of use on demand service. And so what our intention is to really give people access to this anywhere it's needed. So if Converse and Northwest, Northwest Lakeview needs some of these solutions, we have a solution that as well. It's pretty turnkey. You know, we want to be able to get the funding to be able to go out and say, hey, look, this would fit perfectly here. So we can kind of snap that in and connect those.
They reach out to you when I have social media go,
We'll chat.
and it's a second hundred.
I think there is a website. Right now, it's pretty rudimentary. Our main source of access or contact is our Instagram, or it's San AntoniGO. So there's no O at the end. We replace the O at the end with G-O. San AntoniGO.
That's why I was coming up with the name.
Kevin, we have 2 questions online. So one is, do you have a link to a full-size image of the proposed routes or the current existing routes? And there's a second question. So 2 different conversations here. The second one is, are these vehicles wheelchair accessible?
So right now, we don't have the map. We're still working on that. But we will be, it's pretty close to be done. So if as soon as we get that, we can make it available. The wheelchair accessibility, that's an option. That's something that we've been asked extensively. There is options to convert these to wheelchair accessible. And we are looking for funding to help make that happen, right? There are pilots out there that show these vehicles with access to wheelchair accessibility. And then there's also partnering with VIA to be able to have that VIA link option if one of these vehicles is not readily available to bridge that gap.
So maybe,
Right now, we have 6. We have 6 in the city because we're limited by permitting. but we have the capability to expand to whatever is necessary.
You're gonna cover this whole area with 6 vehicles.
No. That would, the intention is to secure funding to be able to move forward with the vehicles to,
Because it seems to me, you know, what CBD is, right? It's bounced, and you mentioned Pearl, Guadalupe, St. Paul Square, South, I think maybe just be out of the two, or all outside of the CBD. It seems like concentrate on just keeping the people out of downtown, and then grow it out there, 6 vehicles, for all that big geographical area. It's gonna be tough.
it's not going to be 6 vehicles. You're looking at anywhere between 20 and 30 vehicles.
Oh,
Yeah, no, so we have 6, because we're limited by the purview of the city, but we're not limited by access to these vehicles. So, the idea is there's going to be 20 or 30 vehicles operating, all within that certain. So what happens is within the downtown, I know they're looking to include Southtown into the CBD. And so if you look at that perfect square that our highways create, the fringe of those is what we were looking to bring into, and then also have a circulator moving within that CBD.
And Kevin, so I'm excited that we have this, new option for people to get around. And I know that there's also some other companies in this space. So like, what does that look like? Or is there, imagine right now it's kind of like a free market economy in this space. So like, what does that look like right now? Are there other companies providing this service, and is there like coordination happening in this space, or what does that look
That's a
like?
great question. I think there is opportunity for coordination, but I feel that there might be different goals for some of these other companies. Our goal is to have this for our community and to keep it free for the long period. And there's other for-profit, right? So if you have somebody who's looking for a ride from A to B, and I want like an electric vehicle, I can hail it as an Uber or Lyft, that's a different solution. But we're looking to really become what San Antonio envisions in the electric mobility space. So adding to another option of bikes being walkable, all the things that we talk about when we talk about transportation.
Yeah. And I guess on the notes here real quick, so I know these rides are free right now. So now that these vehicles have to cost money, and imagine you're paying yourselves, like, how are y'all currently getting funding for these vehicles, or
Right
what is that,
now-
or like, pay yourselves as well?
Yeah, right
Could be
now,
a small business.
for sure. Right now, we're funding it fully ourselves. So we are basically bootstrapping and trying to get this funding that's out there, to come to San Antonio. These dollars are floating out there, and I think if we don't grab them as a city, someone else will. And so if we're able to kind of allocate some of these funds to not only the downtown space, but also some of these counties that need this micromobility solution as well.
Yeah.
plus advertising.
And advertising revenue. So if you look, if you click on that first one, I think that'd be kind of.
You can't.
Okay. Don't click on anything. So, yeah, so obviously advertising revenue, and then some of the awareness of campaigns that come to San Antonio. I know San Antonio, we're a big tourist city, so using our vehicles in that doubling as that space as well, I think is a benefit.
And so one question online is, how does somebody help one? And is there an app to say, come pick me up at this destination and take me to, Sandler or something?
Sure. Right now, we have a wave down. If we're just driving by, you can wave us down. We also have a number where you can text. We get hundreds of, if not thousands of requests a day because, there's a high demand for it right now. And the app is in the works, right? So some of that funding would go towards securing one of these apps. I know ATAC is using, I believe, EcoLane as a solution. So we've had a conversation with them, and it looks like a pretty viable solution.
So it's not a fixed route. You can go anywhere.
We can go anywhere, but what we're proposing is that there's going to be a mixture of fixed and dynamic. So then you have people going to some of these stops or hubs. Maybe they need to go directly to their house from that hub. Well, then what happens with this new software that EcoLane has is then there will be another one that will kind of take its place and then continue that route. So it's pretty robust. So I'm pretty confident in the 10 to 15 minute window. And I know growing up taking the bus, you're waiting out there for 30, 45 minutes, you don't know if it's going to come or not. But what this software offers is people to be able to track, vehicles on Lyft or Uber in a way, but more just kind of showing, it's on the way.
They can walk a block, and if they see it on the app, that's a block over, so they can walk that block.
I wanted to give an update, and it's hard for me to hear. I'm just getting bits and pieces, but I'm Maricela, I'm the manager of service planning at Via Metropolitan Transit. And one update I wanted to give is that we're working with Northeast Lakeview College. We're planning to bring them service in August of this year. And so we've found a solution for them. It's a link solution. We're going to our board this month, present it to the board. And so that's sort of hot off the press. So number one, that's one of the things I wanted to address because somebody mentioned Northeast Lakeview College. And then the other thing I wanted to mention is that, you mentioned the reliability of our service and that you don't know if a bus is coming or not. We have technology that has real-time arrival information. There's an app called the Transit app that you can use, and it'll tell you where a bus is. We give pings every 5 seconds or less so we share that information and publish it every 5 seconds so that our public knows where the buses are at any time if they use an app.
Yes.
So I just wanted to correct you
Yes.
on that.
No, I did hear that. I was mentioning like when I was younger as a kid, riding the bus. Not currently. I know there's signage even at the stops that show when the next bus is coming. I was mentioning like back in, the 90s.
Okay. I just want to make sure that everybody understands that we have that technology today. So
For sure.
Thank you.
No, thank you. Apologies for that. Thank you.
Bert McHale had a comment online. He said, I am also a rep on the Joint Commission for Elderly Affairs. I'd like to get more information on San AntoniGO besides the website. Seniors would be interested.
Yes, sir.
What is contact information?
Yes, sir. I got your contact information and I'll reach out after the meetings to maybe connect more and have a deeper conversation on that.
But it's better than alternative.
I'm sorry, was somebody trying to speak?
All right. Are there any more comments or discussion on San AntoniGO, SAGO?
Thank you, Kevin.
Thank you.
Thanks for the update on new microtransit, more mobility options in downtown or downtown area.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
So item number 6, or number 5, I'm sorry, is a discussion of appropriate action on active transportation advisory committee micromobility, or should be shared micromobility representative application. Matthew. Well, your feedback from somebody's microphone, if you happen to be unmuted, be sure to mute yourself. Thank you.
All right, so in your meeting package, I've attached SAGO's application for the shared micromobility provider to be on the Active Transportation Advisory Committee. We're going to save some discussion until the motion happens. We're just going to go through this presentation, go through the application. If you have any comments or questions, we can do that during discussion for the motion. So, SAGO applied as a micromobility provider with the Active Transportation Advisory Committee back on April 21st. Kevin Mancha, who just presented, would be the representative. Also contact information if anyone would like to get in contact with them based off of that last presentation or about future ATAC business. Kevin Mancha has resided in the AMPO study area for 43 years. He has reviewed the MPO's ethics policies and bylaws, which is a requirement for being on the Active Transportation Advisory Committee, and has committed to taking an open meetings training within 30 days of placement if he were to be approved as a micromobility provider on ATAC, and is committed to regularly attending scheduled meetings. When asked on the application why they were seeking this appointment, they said that we are looking to offer our service to the community and help provide last and first mile micromobility in a sustainable way. In addition to, they said for education, training, experience, special interests, and expertise, they have been in micromobility since 2019 and have been a frequent visitor to the areas of our city that would benefit from this type of service. They did not answer for any volunteer activities, community service, or elected offices. When asked to describe how they would share information with their constituency, they said they would share information digitally as well as in person. So right now, the requested motion is to approve AntoniGO as the shared micromobility provider. We did have discussion, Joey brought up before this meeting, on the definition of shared micromobility provider and whether AntoniGO fits under the definition of shared micromobility provider or microtransit. So Joey, did you want to expand on that a little bit?
Sure, Matthew, I was just curious, I guess, note too, I know, again, we create these new bylaws or ATACs, some discussion about making sure we have like inclusion of shared micromobility providers like, B-cycle, bird, scooter, folks like that. And obviously their environments for mobility options downtown and San Antonio has changed some. I was curious too if MPO has any definition itself on micromobility, or what is y'all's perspective on micromobility? I know it's also changing, it's the term as, I guess especially since the 2020s, 2020 or so, there's been new options growing in the environment, but I was curious at first if like y'all had any perspective or thoughts on what is micromobility options.
So MPO would follow what the Federal Highway Administration, Federal Transit Administration definitions for micromobility versus microtransit are. Looking at those definitions, the FTA specifically lists micromobility as things like bird scooters, those small mobility devices. They can either be human or battery powered or both, but they're going to be those smaller types of vehicles. Yeah. In terms of 6-person passenger vehicles, under the FTA's definition, it sounds like the services that AntoniGO offers would most likely fit under microtransit rather than micromobility. So would that fit under our shared micromobility provider? Probably not. But I do want to remind people that we did vote in the past few months for ATAC to set up a multimodal representative this coming October into ATAC. So that could be a possibility as well, that it would for sure fit in. So that's where that definition kind of gets a little fuzzy on the MPO side. So yeah.
I think the word transit might be a little fuzzy too for me, just because when I think of transit, I think of the agency, right? That's been named as a transit agency. And so I'm not sure. I think that's a good question that somebody raised. I do see that I see that there's a piece of the pie here somewhere. But I'm not sure this is the right, like you said, it's probably would make a better fit for the multimodal position than the micromobility, because I think that was intended more for the scooter, right? Or the electric bikes or something like that. So I think that's a good point that's raised. But I'm a little fuzzy on the transit. So I think we should definitely consider this an info session today and then maybe vote on it next month after we've had a little more time to research, and maybe you can bring those definitions to us, and maybe we can do our own searching also. So that's what I'm thinking.
Thanks, Maricela. I think it'd be interesting to, again, excited that folks like, Kevin and your team are bringing, ATAC, to the space in San Antonio, but also I know like there's like this evolving landscape of these new, just mobility options in this space. So, definitely curious, like, especially like, how can we make sure to support folks like yourself or others and make sure this is all like sustainable options that, continue serving people, make sure there's reliable options for people to get around. Sure. It'd be interesting. I don't know how the MPO plays a role in that or via like assessing about also, again, go back to Matthew's point too, there was discussion like, again, when the shared micromobility position was created, it was thought that like B-Cycle have been heavily involved and like scooter companies have been coming to the landscape to open that opportunity. And I guess there's discussion maybe like one or like maybe change that position to multimodal or adding a second to make sure there's flexibility because currently it's not like a transit focused organization or like, again, along those lines, I guess, transit, the word itself can maybe
It means something different than
yes,
micromobility.
but like a multimodal aspect of like maybe more into organizations that can have a role in these discussions. Are there any other questions or comments on this agenda item from other committee members?
I think one last point I'll make is with thinking about the word transit, that there are implications to that word, right? So we have to abide by certain guidelines that have to do with the American Disabilities Act or Title VI or other things that a private company may not be subject to. So I think that's another caveat or differentiation for me when I'm thinking about the word transit and the transit agency in the area. So I think we just need to think about it a little bit more and shape it up. That's what I'm saying.
Definitely. And Matthew, I know like FHWA, like, I don't want to call him out, like Eduardo Gomez is an ex officio member. I'm curious, I know that like I sent you some links from FHWA and FTA. I'm curious if there's been any discussion. I also asked one of my former like transportation focused professors if there's any thoughts in the space. I know it is like evolving and like what does that look like? Could y'all do some like research as well and see like how is this industry being defined or what does that landscape look like?
Yeah, I can definitely do that. And we can table this for this month and push it to next month. And I can bring that information for next time, definitely, with those definitions.
Because I guess, I'm curious too, like, especially as Kevin mentioned too, is like what that future looks like, especially for future like MPO funding. Does somebody like AntoniGO qualify for MPO funding or like, what does that look like for, whether your company or others? Curious like how that, because obviously like how can we bring more people to the table and talk about more sustainable, safer transportation options and what does that look like, especially in terms of like MPO funding? And
right. So it depends on the funding. Obviously, if it's MPO funding, it will most likely be federal funding, which means that it's required to comply with the Americans with Disabilities Act. So there would have to be some form of wheelchair accessibility and all of that. So we'll have to come back with those definitions, and I can do that and gather that research, and we can just have this be information, and we could push the motion to next month.
So thank you. Again, it's kind of straight.
I have one last question. How fast do the vehicles go? Because I think that has something to do with.
Yes, ma'am. They go max 25 miles per hour, and they're allowed on streets of 35 miles per hour or less.
Okay.
So they're like an EV, basically.
It's like an NV, yes, ma'am.
Thank
Was
you.
there
Electric vehicle,
so other discussion?
electric car.
Say that, take a second. Okay.
I'm writing stuff down.
Check
What was the
that
last
part.
And
Yeah.
I'm wondering, I'm not an expert on definitions by any means, but I'm wondering if the difference between transit and micromobility just kind of functionally has to do with, micromobility, it's a bike, it's a scooter, you operate it yourself versus someone else drives and can pick you up. And maybe one day these things will just be parked to the side and you can have to swipe and drive it yourself and then it becomes, micromobility. I
Yeah.
don't know.
I feel like I've also heard the term, I haven't really seen it adopted or like used in other places. Somebody also has used the term low power, low mass vehicles for like micromobility options. So I know like, again, this is all like terminology, how people are using this, what does data sharing look like? It's evolving a lot. I'm curious to like, so can you ruffles, like, something like this be utilized before like full turn, like transits implemented, but yeah, a lot of discussion is starting to happen here too. Sure. So I guess it sounds like we're, tabling this for now, but, we talked about in the past, we were looking at, slightly changing our membership on ATAC a little bit to include at minimum, one position for multimodal position, which is a little more open language and interpretation about who could be, be on that slot. So definitely encourage, for y'all to stay involved, to sort of keep an eye on what's going on in these committees, the MPO and more. And
Yeah.
I appreciate y'all being here today. So
Thank you for having us.
any other discussion? Yeah, and I guess I'll read Bert's comment here too. It says, great to go over interpretations of words. Critical, it takes some time, but saves further challenges on documentation such as bylaws. Coming together from the beginning truly gets everyone on the same page, Bert's. Thanks, Bert's.
Need a motion to table this or place on the table for this, or what do y'all need? Mr. Chair, I'd like to make that motion to place item number 5 on the table. That appropriate action, practical conversation by the single representative application until a meeting specified the version number.
Do you have a second on the floor?
I'll second.
Great, thank you. Motion and second. Is there any opposition? Not, we'll go ahead and table this until a future meeting. Great. Thank you all very much. Agenda item number 6, discussion and appropriate action on technical advisory committee, alternate representative from ATAC. Matthew.
All right. We got a whole 4 slides.
Ooh.
And the formatting messed up. So last meeting, we voted on we voted on Joey actually, to take the second primary position on the technical advisory committee for ATAC representatives. And so today we will be voting on the alternate for Joey's position on the technical advisory committee. Just a little bit of background again on the TAC. It meets on the first Monday of the month. Its purpose is first Friday of the month, sorry. Its purpose is to review planning studies, programs, and projects within the UPWP and sports projects for the TIP. It also makes technical recommendations for the Transportation Policy Board. Currently, there are 2 members of ATAC that are represented on TAC, Robert Hanley being one of them, and Joey Pollock being the second primary. Micromobility as well serves as Robert Hanley's alternate. Today we will be voting on Joey Pollock's alternate. So we're looking at 2 different actions today. One would be nominating someone, a sitting member of the Active Transportation Advisory Committee, as a nominee for that ATAC position. And then the second motion would be to elect that nominee onto ATAC. So we can begin discussion about anyone that would like to be nominate themselves to be Joey's alternate on TAC.
Thank you, Matthew. At this time, if there's anybody who would like to either self-nominate or nominate another member of the committee as our second alternate to TAC, can now have the floor to make those nominations or any discussion.
Veronica Escalera Ibarra as ATAC alternate for Joey.
Thank you, Marcelo.
Are there any other nominations at this time? All right, then
all right. So do we just need a
make the first one, ask for discussion, and then
okay.
The nominations approved forms.
Yeah, I was just reading off of this. It sounds like there's just a nom. So do you have to make 2?
It's 2 motions.
Okay,
let's read the first.
Okay. It wasn't like a full motion.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make the motion that we nominate a member of the ATAC as an alternate for Chairman Joey Pollock as representative to the Technical Advisory Committee.
Veronica Escalera Ibarra.
That's the first one. So we need to vote on that motion.
Yeah, so need a second. We need a second for the nomination.
Robert Neal, I'll second Scott's motion.
All those in favor?
We all vote in favor? Any opposition?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a second motion to elect Veronica Ibarra as the nominee for the ATAC as alternate position for Joy Pollock as represented on the Equipment Advisory Committee.
Do we have a second?
It's gonna be more than Scott Brown. Sure.
We need a second to second? I
Yes.
thought we already seconded. Okay, I second the second.
There's two motions.
Yes, two motions. Okay, we have a motion and a second to elect Veronica Ibarra as alternate on TAC. So instead of voting all in favor, is there any opposition for this election? All right, if not, Veronica Ibarra is my alternate on TAC. Welcome. Motion carries. Motion carries.
Thanks, y'all.
I love bureaucracy.
I think you got a handle on it, though.
Yeah. All right, agenda item number 7, announcements and future agenda items. Matthew?
Yes, so it is Bike Month. And in addition, our tip outreach for fiscal years 25 through 28 is over on May 31st online. If you haven't been there already, it's at alamoareanpo.org/yourmove. We already had all of our public meetings already, so we're just taking public comment online until the end of the month. So if you haven't already, go ahead and give our tip a nice review and then let us know your comments. For announcement B, it is Bike Month. Our slogan this year is not going far, ditch the car. And that's based off of the statistic that 52% of all trips in the US are less than 3 miles, meaning that over half of our trips are pretty viable by a 15-minute bike ride. So that's what we're focusing on for Bike Month this year. We've already had our Bexar County trail activation. Our Comal County trail activation will be this Saturday at Fisher Park from 8 a.m. to 11 a.m. And we will also have Bike to Work Day on May 17th. And we will be at the Badges, Bikes, and Tykes event in Seguin on May 18th as well. For more information, can you pull up the website actually real quick? You can go to alamoareanpo.org/bike month. You have to share the screen. I just want to share with you the website real quick for those of you who haven't seen it. We have a bunch of different sponsors this year with the MPO for Bike Month and specifically Bike to Work Day. All the way. So this is what the website looks like. So there's Bike to Work Day in the middle. We also put the trail activations on the left and our calendar of events. These are specifically events that the MPO will be participating in. So if you ever have any questions about what the MPO is doing for Bike Month, you can definitely go to this website. It's accessible from our homepage on the MPO. Scroll down to the and then Bike to Work Day is on Friday, May 17th. That's next week. We've got a week and a half left. Scroll down. We got 14 stations region-wide. 12 of them are in San Antonio, 1 in New Braunfels, and 1 in Seguin. So if you haven't already started planning to bike to work that day, go ahead and make those plans and stop by these stations. We got a lot of stuff going on. So announcement C, the MPO offices will be closed on May 27th in observance of Memorial Day. And announcement D is that our next ATAC meeting will be held on Wednesday, June 12th at 3 p.m. at the Alamo Area MPO office. And I will bring back that motion for the micromobility application with more information. If there's any other agenda items you guys would like to see, now would be the time to tell me as well. I believe TxDOT is also planning to present their bike plan either at this June meeting or July or August. So
It's TxDOT. What's the status of the city of San Antonio's bicycle master plan? They retained their consultant. It's almost 2 years now. It would be interesting just to get an update if somebody from the city's transportation would do that.
On that note, Robert, we're actually, ATAC and other members of the community, we're hosting a kind of like a bike town hall on May 14th. Future of cycling multimodal transportation in San Antonio, May 14th of next week. And essentially we're covering a lot of the big cycling related efforts and plans, plus multimodal efforts, including the bike plan, complete streets policy update from the city of San Antonio, and the Vision Zero action plan, all updates from the city of San Antonio. And I also have some community spotlights from different community groups like Believe It Foundation to Just All Cycling Initiative, Major Taylor Cycling Club, and Urban Bike as well. So a little bit of mix of like government policy plan updates, and also some community spotlights and tabling opportunities. It's a Tuesday night. That's one opportunity, but definitely Urbanson's ballroom actually up the street. And so
And will the city of San Antonio Transportation Division give you an update on the bicycle? Will they be hosting the booth there?
yes, they're presenting on that. So they're presenting on the bike network plan, complete streets policy updates, and Vision Zero action plan, all three ongoing efforts.
Did you give a time of that, John?
That's going to start at 6 p.m. And I can share that flyer with Matthew.
Share it with Matthew so you can get it out to the members of the community. Okay. Thank you.
Any other announcements?
Matthew, we're having our May the 13th at 4 o'clock at the Dry Comau Nature Park. We're having an unveiling that's a part of the Great Springs Trail. It's going to be at FM 482 and Bunker Street in a cute little area right outside of city limits in our ETJ that we're going to be annexing here within the next couple of weeks. But it's a beautiful area of the world. I've never been out there. It's in the country. With the historical marker and the church of the town that used to be a town.
And this is quite Great Spring.
Great Springs.
What's the distance?
This is the part that we have two connections between the two.
Oh.
We have two connections and then we have a portion of it. But this is just a part on the Dry Comau Creek that will be have a host trail for it.
You're going to send out Joe, send out Scott's thing at the same time.
I'll send it to you if you don't.
Are there any other announcements or future agenda item requests?
Hey, this is Karen Bishop with the River Authority. I wanted to just point out that if anyone in the meeting has not decided which route they want to take to work next Friday, to stop by the Overland stop on Jones. Overland, the River Authority, UTSA, and several other partners, U.S. Green Building Council. It's going to be a party and there's going to be food. And so I encourage y'all to take that route. I think it's the number 1 there on your map. If I'm
Number 5.
Number 5. Okay, very good. And then the second thing is, today's my last meeting. I'm retiring and moving on Friday, and we are still in the works at the River Authority to get the letter to get my replacement on the agenda for next meeting. So Rebecca Krug will be your contact. I think Matthew has her contact information. So between the two of them, hopefully we'll be able to get that item on the agenda.
Karen, you're too young to retire.
Oh, I'm probably still going to work, but just not in San Antonio, not in Texas.
Well, thank you for all your years of service on ATAC, info committees, and also all across the community, Karen. We really appreciate it. We're going to miss you.
We're going to miss you, Karen.
Yeah.
I'm going to miss everybody here as well. It's bittersweet, but I'm excited. My daughter flew in today, and that's who I'm going to be joining up there in Wyoming. So I'm going to go be with family.
Oh, wow.
You're moving to Wyoming?
Yes, sir. Just in time too. It's hot and stuffy down here.
Wait till the winter comes, Karen. Wait till the winter comes in Wyoming.
Yeah, you can laugh at me then, Robert.
Thank you.
Population 6.
All right, thank y'all. Any other announcements or future agenda item requests? Online or in person?
Nope.
All right, if not, it's 3:59 PM and meeting is adjourned. Robert. Meeting is adjourned. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Happy Bike Month.
I was.
Bye, everybody.
See ya.
I wasn't, pushing it there, I was gonna